The transport pod descended through Theta 7's purple atmosphere, its engines whining as it fought against the dense air. Inside, Kalen pressed his face against the viewing port, watching the endless canopy of bioluminescent trees approach. His heart hammered in his chest, but he kept his breathing steady. The Galactic Survival Academy didn't accept failures, and he wasn't about to become one that the pod touched down with a soft thud in a clearing. The hatch hissed open, and humid air rushed in, thick with alien scents, something like cinnamon mixed with wet earth. Kalen grabbed his standard issue pack and stepped onto the spongy ground. Around him, dozens of other pods were landing, each carrying a different species candidate. "Attention, candidates," a mechanical voice echoed from speakers mounted on nearby trees. "You have 30 days to survive in this environment using only what the land provides. Your performance will determine your placement in the Academy's elite survival corps. Wardens are monitoring. Begin." Kalen surveyed his surroundings. The jungle was alive with movement. Strange insects with crystalline wings, serpentine creatures slithering up trees with bark that pulsed with soft blue light. In the distance, he could hear the calls of larger animals, deep and resonant. Every instinct told him to find shelter, locate water, establish a perimeter. Instead, he did something that made the Wardens monitoring from orbit lean forward in their observation stations. He sat down. Not just sat, but settled himself cross-legged on the ground and closed his eyes. He listened. For 10 full minutes, Kalen simply absorbed the rhythm of the jungle around him. The pattern of insect calls, the rustle of leaves, the distant gurgle of water. The other candidates were already crashing through the underbrush, some setting traps, others climbing trees to scout, a few already fighting over resources. When Kalen finally moved, it was with purpose but without urgency. He walked slowly through the jungle, not searching for something to take, but observing what the environment was offering. He noted which plants the native creatures avoided and which they ate. He watched how water collected in certain leaves after the brief rain showers that came every few hours by the third day, while other candidates were struggling with poisonous plants and aggressive wildlife. Kalen had established what the Wardens could only describe as harmony with his surroundings. That's when he encountered the cubs. They were VRYNN younglings, 6 of them, small and covered in iridescent fur that changed colors with their emotions. They'd been placed here as part of their own training program. Though their challenge was different, learn to work as a pack. Their leader, a cub named Vash with distinctive silver markings around his eyes, approached Kalen's camp with caution. The cubs had been watching him for 2 days, fascinated by the strange human who moved through the jungle like water instead of fire. Most species conquered their environment. This one seemed to befriend it. "Why don't you hunt?" Vash asked, his translator collar rendering his chittering into standard galactic. The cub's fur rippled with curious yellows and greens. Kalen looked up from the shelter he was weaving, not cutting branches, but guiding living vines to grow in patterns that would provide cover. "I am hunting," he said with a gentle smile. "Just not for animals." "Then what?" "Understanding." Kalen gestured to the jungle around them. "Everything here is connected. The insects pollinate the trees. The trees provide fruit for the gliders. The gliders' droppings feed the soil. If I disrupt one part, I disrupt everything. So I'm hunting for my place in the pattern." The cubs exchanged glances, their fur displaying confused patterns of orange and blue. This wasn't what their instructors had taught them. Survival meant dominance. Strength meant taking what you needed. Over the following days, the cubs kept returning to Kalen's camp. He never sent them away. He never demanded they leave. He simply continued his work, and in doing so, taught them without teaching. When Vash's pack struggled to catch the fast-moving stream fish, Kalen showed them how to create a temporary dam using rocks and mud, guiding the water rather than fighting it. When one cub ate a toxic plant and became ill, Kalen didn't use the medical supplies from his pack. Instead, he found the antidote growing nearby, the same plant the local herbivores chewed after rainstorms. "How did you know?" Vash asked, his fur displaying deep purple respect. "I watched," Kalen said simply. The jungle already had the answer. It always does. We just have to pay attention. In the orbital monitoring station, the Wardens were having heated debates. Technically, Kalen hadn't broken any rules. He was surviving off the land. But his methods were unprecedented. Where other candidates were proving their strength through domination, This human was proving something else entirely. He's not competing, one warden observed, her tentacles curling with interest. He's cooperating. With the environment, another added. And now with the cubs. That wasn't part of the mission parameters. No, the senior warden said slowly, her ancient eyes fixed on the screen showing Kalen teaching the cubs to identify edible fungi by the patterns in the bark where they grew. But perhaps it should be. By day 20, Kalen's camp had become a gathering place. Not just for Vash's pack, but for other candidates who'd heard rumors of the human who'd mastered the jungle without conquest. They came expecting to find someone hoarding resources or using advanced techniques. Instead, they found someone sitting by a small fire, roasting fruit wrapped in leaves, showing a KRYL candidate how to predict weather patterns by watching the behavior of flying insects. You're not trying to survive, a Dravian candidate accused, his scales flushed with confusion. You're trying to live. Kalen looked up, and his smile was genuine. Isn't that the point? When the 30 days ended and the recovery pods arrived, Kalen's camp was dismantled without a trace. He'd used nothing that couldn't be returned to the jungle, taken nothing that wouldn't regrow. The monitoring data showed he'd had the most stable vital signs of any candidate, the lowest stress markers, and had consumed the most diverse and nutritionally balanced diet. But what shocked the wardens most was the final footage. Vash and his pack, standing at the edge of the clearing as Kalen boarded his pod, their fur displaying deep blues and purples, the VRYNN colors of profound respect and sadness at parting. You'll pass your trials, Kalen called out to them. Just remember, strength isn't about how much you can take from the world. It's about how well you can live within it. As his pod lifted into the purple sky, the senior warden made a note in her report. Human candidate Kalen demonstrated advanced survival capability through integration rather than domination. Recommend new training protocols be developed based on his approach. The galaxy may have much to learn from human methods of coexistence. In the jungle below, Vash watched until the pod disappeared. Then he turned to his pack, his fur displaying determined gold. They had much to teach their instructors when they returned home. The human had shown them something their species had forgotten in their climb to the stars. Survival wasn't about conquering your environment, it was about becoming part of it.